It is a special day in the 502 Circle Floyd Street Media Studios here in downtown Indiana. Beautiful campus that we're on, recording this show from the Pink Seats podcast. And boys, this is a special podcast, one especially near and dear to my heart, because today we've got a legend in the house. If you know anything about Louisville football, the last 2 years particularly, Louisville's had one of the fiercest run games in all of college football. With a fullback leading the way that I've often said that he could get me 1,000 yards. And if you know anything about my rushing ability, I'm terrified to get tackled. So we know that's not happening. Jacob Blaine, Vince Lococo, producer Keith, we are joined in studio by our special guest, Duane Martin. Duane, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Of course. We got a legend in the house, Louisville football 2020 through 2024. Started the last 2 years as block for 2 NFL running backs. Yep. We're going to get into that. 2 star freshman running backs. Those 4 don't have the careers that they have so far without this man. We're going to get into all the specifics. But if you know anything about Duane, he's got a really interesting career. Started with Satterfield and Company, came in 2020, was a two-way athlete coming out of South Carolina. We're going to get into that in a second. But a really interesting story developing up. Tight end, fullback, linebacker, what is he? We're going to get into all of that tonight. So first of all, man, how's life post-football? You've been away from Louisville now for a little bit. The season ended, obviously, with a great win in El Paso. But what's life been like for you?
It's been a journey, I'm not going to lie. From training for the NFL process and actually getting an opportunity to go up to Detroit and compete to earn a spot on their team, dude, it's been a journey. I mean, these past couple of months, just been spending time with my girlfriend and my dog, though. Saving some trips, dude.
Yeah.
Just trying to explore the city a little bit more and do things I haven't done before.
Yeah. 5 years in Louisville, but obviously you've been, focused on being a fullback, of course. So great to see you guys getting out. We were talking before the show. He's going to stick around in Louisville, turning into a true Louisvillian.
I remember whenever we were recruiting you, might have been your official visitor, just one you take it. It was a really cold game. Yeah. And Coach Holt was like, came up to me. I was a student assistant at the time, and he's like, hey, go to Ed, make sure this kid gets a big jacket. It's like, we need to make sure that he gets a big, emphasizing that we need to get this kid. So to see you go from there to finally sitting here, the journey you had is definitely pretty cool for me. But starting back in the day, you were committed to East Carolina before flipping to Louisville.
Yeah.
How and why did you decide on Louisville? What was it that got you to turn from East Carolina? How'd you get here, basically?
So, dude, coming out of high school, committed to ECU. I enjoyed that coaching staff and that environment over East Carolina. It was a great environment. But I told myself my senior year, I was like, when I took a visit to App State when Sat was still there.
Right.
Loved that staff, but they didn't offer it at the time. And I was like, dude, whenever they give me this offer, I'm going to their school. I'm playing for them.
Yeah. And
then, 6 months passed. I'd already committed to ECU. Cardwell gives me a call. He's like, what are you doing? Like, who the fuck is this? He was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's Nick Cardwell, Louisville Cardinals. I was like, Nick Cardwell, that's the fucking
I remember I heard this.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, dude. I was like, yeah, what's up? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, really want to get you up to Louisville and let you see the city and get to know you a little bit more. And I was like, okay, cool. Boom, get up here, immediately fall over the city, dude.
Right.
Immediately fall over the city. From Churchill's Downs to downtown to the east end to the west end. I love the city. The right coaching staff, the right place. I can.
Yeah, what I really remember stuck out about your recruitment was I believe you were a 2-time state champion, right? Or two-time all-state.
All-state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two-way athlete, as we talked, or played running back.
Were you in Mr.
linebacker.
Football running too?
Yeah. I was gonna say,
not many fullbacks can say they're in Mr. Football.
It was me, Jalen Hyatt. I don't know if you know too much about Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I know enough about him.
Luke Doty, quarterback at Carolina, and Brent Venables' son he was the defense coordinator at Clemson.
Okay. Yeah. So you came to Louisville, could play either side of the ball, but obviously Stu Holt ends up getting you on the offensive side. Tell us a little bit about the decision on kind of positional fit and where you ended up playing on offense versus not playing at the linebacker spot.
Yeah, so positional change, fullback really isn't going to be running the ball too much. Right. So I knew it wasn't going to be in the playing cards, but just from watching guys like Marshawn Ford and his productivity on the offense, whether it was run blocking or receiving the ball downfield, I feel like that was something I could fit into for sure. And that was one of my big leading factors of why I came to Louisville.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you can do what you do both sides of the ball, we'll find somewhere for you. It's not a type of situation where I'm sure they're being too picky.
And coming in as a freshman, I mean, Sat's playbook, let's be honest, it's not Coach Brohm. No. It's not the most difficult thing to learn.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you coming in as a freshman, learning the playbook and then, being thrown a bone and getting some opportunities to play later on down the road, knowing how easy that playbook is, and if you know, like, it's the back of your hand, you can do some real damage in that.
Yeah, like you said, Sat's offense was not the most complicated to learn, which is a good thing because not too many errors could happen on the field. But coming as a freshman, dude, I picked up the playbook within a week, and the only thing that was really challenging about being a freshman,
signals.
No, not the signals. The only thing that was challenging about being a freshman was just picking up the game speed. Going from high school to college is in complete 180. So that was the hard thing for me for sure.
Yeah. When did you kind of get your legs underneath you physically, like at Louisville? Like did you come in kind of ready to go to match up with the seniors, or did it take you a little bit to find yourself?
No, I knew physically I was ready to compete. I was a power lifter in high school. I squatted 600 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Almost 400. So I was ready, like physically. I think just for me, it was more or less the mentally aspect. I mean, not too many people talk about it, but being an 18-year-old going against a 20-year-old in the Division I lifting program is
There's a big difference.
It hurts a little bit, what you're saying.
Some
it hurts
workouts are way different than the workouts you're doing there.
Your body is beat up from, like you said, summer workouts and going straight into fall camp. And you're just like, damn, dude, like, how are these guys this energetic and ready to go? But it's just something you got to learn to pick up really fast. So
and did that give you an edge to see the field coming in a little bit more physically ready?
Yeah, being a lot stronger, a little bit bigger and faster, I was able to touch the field quite a bit. And because of COVID, our last game of the season, I was able to touch the field 5 times that year. So just all those aspects together, like, led me to be able to.
How was that year? I mean, I was around. It was pretty crappy for me having to individually hand you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and protein shake, like a squeak. I'm like, man, I used to get my underwear washed by people, and here I am handing stuff out.
It was weird, bro. Like, I mean, being a freshman, first year in college, not really knowing how things flow, I didn't really think too much of it. But looking back at it now, dude, how you fucking know stuff every day or two, just to like week over
3 days. It was definitely 3. And then that Friday, if we were traveling, we would get it before and there.
Dude.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So what were some of the weirder procedures that had to happen to make that COVID season possible?
Bro, just one, wearing a fucking face mask during practice.
Yeah.
Like,
You're looking like Bane out there.
You look sick, but you're waterboarding yourself. Like, it's insane. But that was one of the weirdest things. What else could be weird?
Well, I'd signal to y'all too. I'd have to have a mask on, and I would, like, part of it would be kind of verbalizing it to them as well. And I mean,
of course, people are
like,
right.
So they actually made you wear the mask as opposed to, like, because you saw some ridiculous shit during COVID, like the glass face mask.
That had the best one.
The visor. Was it Belichick in the NFL who just had like the string across his face with just like a little piece of paper?
It went with the hanging cloth at one point too. It looked like somebody from Zelda or something. It just looks like. Was there a stadium that year? Like, we've talked a lot about the Pittsburgh game on our show. Vince brings that up a lot of just like how quiet it was. Like, was there anything from that year, like game wise, that sticks out to you?
Boston College, dude. Up in Boston.
It's already quiet enough. You've been staying catching strays, man.
They had nobody in the stands. It was literally cardboard. Like, they tried to like
cut out.
Like,
God!
In the seats, like, that was just.
You could have threw a quarter down the street, bro, and drop. It was so quiet.
They would just like play this white noise every now and then, just like try to simulate crowd noise, and that just
which made for the game environment really weird because you heard every thud, every hit. You usually don't hear that stuff.
You could yell to somebody on the field. Which
made Robbie Bell's injury way worse. Hearing him yell,
right. But then the trash talking, I'm sure at that time was elite because you just everybody hears it. You're not just trash talking one person.
That's a flag real quick.
I just picture someone with like a real sick burn, and then you hear his teammates like, "God, he got your ass."
So obviously that year, and as you all progress on, things are kind of up and down. Talk me through your specific positioning when Sat leaves, and obviously Stu Holt had already left at that point.
Yeah.
So you might have had an opportunity to go with him to Ball Tech, but was there any, kind of like, what am I doing? Reevaluating your spot at Louisville. What was that transition like?
Yeah. So I mean, with the whole thing, I felt comfortable there already, so I wasn't too worried about moving after that. But I think we were told Carter was coming back, so I didn't really worry too hard about that. But with Sat leaving, I'll say I was offered an opportunity from my coach at the time to come, but I talked to my family, I prayed about it and everything. And it was a tough decision, but I was really comfortable here. My girlfriend's here. I've already laid a foundation here.
Yeah.
And So I stayed, and even though when I stayed, I had people telling me, "Oh, like like your flight time won't be what you expect with Brohm. Like they're throwing the ball, they're not running the ball." And I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "You know what, dude? Fuck it.
I'm gonna take a chance.
Fuck it, dude. I'm gonna make them play me like that. They don't have no choice but to make to play me." So just doing that, dude, I was able to earn myself into a position to be able to play a lot and lead block for guys like you said, play NFL now.
Yeah. Last question on Satterfield and them. Obviously that system
I got
was
one more.
predicated on running the football. So you were in a run heavy offense already, but it's a little bit different, right? A lot of east-west compared to physicality. So what was for you as a tight end at the time, more fullback, and as you transitioned to fullback, did that system and blocking or running, seeing the field a little bit more, did that help you? Whereas at Louisville, I know it was really more like, all right, hole, hit it, man, this is coming through, I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah.
I just was curious like how those two kind of mesh. And I know Brohm said that they liked some of the stuff that Satterfield and them did, so they kept it in their offense. But so, like, how did that kind of help you? What you saw with Satterfield compared to the drastic difference? You can call it difference, but with Brohm and company.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, Brohm even kept a lot of stuff and essentially ran a lot of the run action, run plays similar to how he ran with Sat, and just for him keeping that similarity was able to allow me to read fast, go through the hole and destroy some fucking body. But just it wasn't really too difficult, man. It's at fullback.
You're just whatever. Just offense it is.
Fuck it, dude.
Right. Yeah. Just hit somebody.
Honestly, he explains it too, but I mean, it's a little bit more dumbed down than that.
C-man, hit man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really it. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
My last sack question was, how was that Zoom call? Because I remember
we heard stories about the infamous Zoom call.
Yeah,
bro. So it started off serious. Everyone was quiet, and Sat was just talking. Out of nowhere, Raheem Craig. Why did the fuck like this? He started. Everyone else chimed in. And I was like, "Oh shit, this is."
I knew that was gonna go down.
It just went downhill.
That whole morning was crazy because I woke up at like 6 a.m. I think I had workouts or do something.
Because it's a normal day for you.
Yeah, it's
nothing stops.
It was either a day or two before the bolt announcement.
Right.
So we're just getting ready, go to the stadium, and I get a text from my brother-in-law, and he's like, "Hey, you good?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Sat's gone." I was like, "Oh, he's not."
Right.
2 seconds later, ESPN.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh shit.
yeah. Bro. But that morning was fucking crazy. Just everything happened so fast. So Paul was already set up at 10 o'clock.
And then was it? It was already announced we're playing them in the bowl game, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
I can't remember.
So
So
like
like
how
how
within a couple days.
I was going to say, before we jump to the bowl game, because I got a couple questions on that too. So Coach Branch gets named the interim.
Mhm.
Just how different was it just game prep practice under Coach Branch as opposed to working with Sat all the time that you were here and then just switch on a dot? Did he try to run things differently?
And your
Did he go from
stats cut in half at
Right,
that
we were
point?
joking
So,
at the time. You got to bring Vince back to a signal because coaches.
No, dude, Coach Branch, I feel like he did a fucking terrific job. He kept our same practice structure the same way, but we like he started off. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go full pads these first 3 days." After first, fuck that. Full pads after the time. Once we get to Boston, we were just preparing for the game.
Right.
He did a tremendous job preparing us for the game.
Yeah.
There was a little part of me that hoped like he just turned into a hard ass as soon as he got that interim head coach job.
So Branson, coach, I mean, Dion is on, dude. Like, he knows how to take care of the guys, but make sure we're still prepared for whatever we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right. So was there extra motivation in that situation?
Yeah.
Like, because I was pissed off like myself.
Especially because it happened so fast. He went to that school. We're playing that school.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a little animosity
For sure.
We're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
We were just kind of reminiscing, taking a trip down memory lane, and obviously you didn't see this at the time, but he pops up with his big stupid face in the game for an interview in the middle of it. And it's just like, I mean, right in the middle of the game, they got their sat cam, and he's talking, and meanwhile, y'all are just kicking their ass. It's just a beautiful moment. Let's transition though. So Jeff Brohm comes in, and obviously, a lot of history there. What were your expectations of what you were getting yourself into playing for the Brohms?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like I told you a minute ago, like I was hearing nonstop from people like, "Oh, he passes the ball, he doesn't run the ball. Like you're not gonna get the playing time you expected." But once they got there and like off the rip, Coach Brohm, before he even left for Cincinnati, he was like, I'm going to play the guys who play the hardest and play the best and can make plays for us. And I was like, I can fucking do that.
That's it.
This is my jam.
Yeah, so I mean, after he explained that to us, you know, I was like, if I put in the work, whether that's blocking, catching the ball, or just playing special teams, like I know I'm going to have an opportunity to get on the field. So I just put my head down and work.
Yeah. And what did that look like? I mean, getting the playbook, like making sure you know.
Yeah, dude, it was very Petrino-esque.
Dude,
Every time we talk about recruits, we talk about transfers. Vince will say, look, the talent's there, blah, 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 blah. But one thing, playbook.
Yes. The playbook, dude, like Vince was saying a minute ago about Sad's offense, very easy. You can learn in a week if you tried. And as soon as we got that first playbook, the first install was like that big.
Yeah.
The next install was that big. I was like, brother. And at the time I was still in undergrad. I'm going through my A&P classes, and I'm like, bro,
I got more homework.
Where's my
Trip by 24 when I need it.
bro? Outside zone. But yeah, no, I mean,
Where's the goal line read option?
right. The playbook. That's the one thing that I will say that will make or break you in the offense. Really, that's like I was going to mention Tyler. Like, dude, pick it up in like a week.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I'm not gonna lie, it took me all spring after the summer to extra. I was going just that fullback.
Yeah.
But
And once you learned what you were doing, how much more freely could you play out, even at your position, just being able to not just, hey, I'm not going to bully through this guy. I can angle my block a little bit here and have somebody get around me just by knowing the offense and knowing somebody's blocking out here. I have a tackle blocking right here.
Yeah.
How much faster can you play?
like I could play fast, and not just from me knowing what I'm supposed to do, but also knowing what the offensive line's going to do.
Yeah.
With a running
There's a big difference in
right about
exactly.
If I'm running outside, if we're running outside zone, his landmark is to the nub side, and I'm lead blocking. He's going to the outside leg or like midline of the tackle.
Exactly.
All I have to do is get slightly in front. I don't have to blow him up if I don't want. If I don't have to, I can just get slightly in front of the linebacker. He's Jawar Jordan, Isaac Rindo, Isaac Brown, all those guys. They're going to get around it and fucking go 50 yards.
Yeah, all you need is a click of a second, and those guys are usually gone.
Exactly. And even with know what I can do, I can learn how to trick guys out. Like if I'm backside zone of a guy, I don't have to just go blow him up. I can just go blow his fucking knee out. That's literally all I have to do.
Yeah. And we talk about the high school Harry on our show a lot too. Like for you being able to go, full go at a guy, Marshawn was the king of it. Just flash his hands a little bit and slip past the guy. You were pretty good at it too. Like that, all that just helps each other, being able to go full speed like that.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot of cerebral aspects about the switch to Coach Brohm. Was there any sort of difference in the intensity in like training camp or spring ball, anything along that line, especially his first year coming into the program?
I'll say yes and no. Starting off, you can account to this. Mike Sirianno.
Oh yeah.
Off season,
crazy.
fucking miserable.
Crazy.
Aren't they all?
No, it's different. I've seen CJ Avery pass out in the winter, and in the winter pass out doing stadium stairs, and they passed him over the edge, and we kept running.
Kept going. Jesus, CJ catching the straight.
I mean, there were times when Brohm definitely upped the intensity, whether it was Brohm or Coach Reno. But I mean, for the most part, it was kind of similar. Just taken away from the count from Mike, it was very similar. But
how's Coach Reno?
Reno, dude, fucking love him.
Yeah. See, that's a guy that you heard a lot from Mike.
Yeah.
But like from our perspective, like you don't hear much from Coach Reno. At least I don't.
Yeah.
I don't ever think about Coach Reno.
Yeah,
I just
until he
assume
was
he's
a head
doing his
coach
job
2 or 3 years later.
Yeah,
I mean, that was insane.
Yeah.
Coach Reno is a really great dude. He I would say he's probably my favorite strength coach.
Yeah.
My entire time in college.
Yeah. So I just keep Jeff around there too.
Oh yeah.
All right, so talking about the run game a little bit, year one under Brohm and them, we talked a lot about in the offseason that was the most talented running backs that Jeff Brohm had ever had. They bring in Isaac Iriendo, who had this career at Wisconsin where he was really talented, but had dealt with injuries. What was that like for you blocking for those two? Jawar Jordan, who you'd been your teammate for a couple of years, you had seen him go through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
Obviously the Cincinnati game was kind of like his big I'm here moment. What was that like getting ready to block for them and ultimately the season where they both get drafted at the end. That's like, I would put that shit on the resume, you know, like how they show both of their draft videos and it's just Duane Martin blocking the shit out of everyone in front of them. What was that like though?
It was great. And I'll say this, not just on how athletically gifted Isaac and Jawar were, it made it a lot easier to want to play hard and go hard just by getting to know those guys and like knowing their story. And there was a time in 2022 where we almost lost Jawar Jordan. Like there was no 2023 season with Jawar Jordan, but he just getting to know that he actually wanted to stay, compete the next year, especially the new coaching staff coming in as well. It made it 10 times easier to block for guys like that.
Yeah. Jeff was licking his chops seeing dudes like you, he's sitting over here like, please everybody stay. We can win so many football games, please.
Did the blocking style change at all between when Jawar started the season, balled out, you have the Notre Dame, the big run, but then his injury happens and then you transition in the back half of the year and it's more ground and pound physicality with Isaac. Was there any difference for you in that?
For me, no, dude. Like I was saying a minute ago, like both those guys are made it super easy to block for it. Whether it was ground and pound or running the ball 2 or 3, 4 times a drive, like no matter what, like I'm going to block my ass off for those two guys, especially. But
yeah. So either one of them get you something nice for them getting drafted. Oh, come on. Gotta put them on blast right here. Come on. Yeah. Take care of your guys.
That's kind of starting NFL running back now. Isaac, if you need to take care of anybody, I know you got your girlfriend, you got Leon San Fran, but Duane is...
Maybe Jaws is the tree to bark up. Isaac's got those California taxes now.
Florida, I was this year, and he met us down there. He hung out. He was telling her, like, yeah, they're fucking me.
Cali taxes.
I got your salary, but I'm making entry level position.
How pissed do you think Brock Purdy was on that rookie?
That's true.
The Mr. Irrelevant deal the first 4 years.
$65,000 a year. It turns out to like $40,000 after tax.
And then having to pay to live in California. What the hell, man?
So let's talk a little bit about this past year. There's a lot. It was really an interesting season. You guys go into the year. Looks like, obviously there's kind of this up and down with Tyler at the beginning under his commitment. It takes Jaws kind of spelling the fan base to calm down. Like, trust me, you don't know. Tyler comes in, obviously, like early on, you all really establish yourselves in that first stretch of games. And then as you get throughout the season, there's just a lot of opportunity. There's, some real peaks and then there's some real valleys like the Stanford game, which we're going to get into here in a minute. But just take me through the season for you. You had another great year. You have 2 different running backs. At one point, though, in spring, you were set to block for guys like Penny Boone and Donald Chaney, but it ends up turning into Isaac Brown and Duke Watson, these 2 freshmen. Yeah. What was that like for you? Again, I know you say, I just block whoever the fuck is in front of me. It's more about who's in front of me than who's behind me. But, like, tell me for you, just in your last year, just what you kind of went into this season and how you dealt with everything.
Yeah, so I'll just start off. Like last year, dude, I was tested really. Like starting off a year, like I was planning on coming in like best of my shape, doing everything I could to help our team get back to the ACC championship and go further. End up breaking my foot in March or late February and get to the season. I finally make it back right before fall camp. We're going through the fall camp and make it into the season. Like you said, we had our ups. We were destroying everybody. Like nobody could stop us. But get to the Miami game, one of the toughest games we played the entire season. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know or not, but that fake punt I ran, I ended up tearing my quad on.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit. I did not know that.
Tore my quad. That's why I didn't play the BC game.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I knew you tore your quad.
Yeah.
Well, we need a thumbnail.
Yeah. I tore my quad, fucking go into the bye week. I'm trying to prepare myself to get to play Clemson because, I'm from South Carolina.
Right.
You
gotta go.
Last chance to do what we can to beat them.
Right.
Unfortunately, I was only able to play 1 snap, but we still fucking destroyed them. Isaac Brown and
you were there. How was that? You're that hometown kid right there. That had to have been
dude,
like the cherry on top for the last year.
Yeah, no, that I don't know. Like everyone asked me like which game felt better for me, the UK game or the Clemson game.
Right.
I can't pick.
It's got to be the Clemson game for you, man. That's like like Ramon said, the Louisville game for beating Kentucky is one of his greatest moments. But for you, it's
Clemson. Clemson was up. It's really up there, but my girlfriend's family being UK fans.
Yeah.
UK
Okay.
Oh, yeah. All day, every day.
This man took the governor's cup back to that family
He's really
dinner.
a million, man. He's
Can I eat it out of this at the top of the cup? You mind?
Yeah. So, just being able to like beat that team, having that bragging right, at least for my last game of the year, with my senior season. It was just, it felt really good. But like back to what you were saying, like the ups and downs, it was rough. You know, we lose to SMU early in the season, started winning train back going, get to Miami, fall short to Miami, get to SMU, we're up. I'm like, okay, dude, we're chilling. Like, we're going to AC championship.
Stanford.
Good
Stanford, right?
Stanford.
Yeah.
Stanford. Get to Stanford, somehow fucking lose the game to them. And, you know, after that, I just didn't know, like why? Like, where were you going? Like, what was the next step for us? You know, like, the AC championship is out of the picture.
Right.
So, like, after the Stanford game, you know, I was like, you know what, dude, it's your last season. Like, your last chance, potentially your last time playing football. Like, I played football since 7 years old, but just put my head down and just said, fuck it, dude. Whatever happens, happens, man. I'm just going to work my ass off, play hard, and we ended up winning out the rest of the season.
See, and that's like, your team can either go one of two ways at that situation after that Stanford loss. You can either just completely go down the drain and quit, like that thought. Definitely is going to be in your head, and you have a decision to make
on the bus, you know, on the way back after the game, probably all the way up until practice, probably middle of the week the next week.
I mean, you don't want to turn Twitter on for a week and a half, 2 weeks.
It was a rough one.
I see our ugly faces be like, what the hell's wrong with the team, bro?
Never hated Duane. Never hated Duane Martin.
I want to come back.
It really wasn't.
Not on this show ever.
I want to come back to the Stanford game and talk a little bit more about that one in particular. But I do want to talk about Isaac and Duke. When did you know those dudes were the dudes?
Spring ball. I didn't compete in spring ball, but just, you know, being able to like do treatment and make out the last little bit of practice. I would always get my brother-in-law was a big Louisville fan. He texted me. It was like, hey, like, what do you think? Like, how are we looking? I was like, bro, Isaac Brown is legit. I didn't really know too much on Duke at the time because at that point Duke was still getting not too many reps here and there.
Yeah, right.
But
because you had Penny Boone, you had Donald Cheney, you had
Mo
Turner.
I
mean, you got 7 running backs.
There's levels too. When you see a kid come in as a true freshman, I remember Colin Wilson. You guys remember that name? Last from past spots. He was a big, like, 4-star,
5-star running back.
Big running back that was a year or two behind me. Whenever I played, even in spring ball, you could just tell
he's different.
This kid plays way different,
and they haven't even reached their full potential at that point.
It's crazy.
You talked about the transition from high school to college, the speed of the game at that position. It's even more important because you got to be able to not only know, you know, there is some fuckedness to a running back of just like, I'm going to find the hole and go, but there's also knowing an offense, blocking, particularly blocking. Like, I'm sure for you,
defense is flowing out.
Let's talk about blocking. Like, your pass blocking obviously improved throughout the year. Throughout your career. I'm sure you didn't like it, like Isaac didn't like it, like how I don't like it. But like, how did you find ways to improve on your pass blocking, and like, how was it? A lot of times you'd have to go up against a DN who's, quite frankly, bigger than you.
Glad you said DN, dude. Fucking the reason I got better at blocking in general, I equate that to Yaya Diaby and Nasir Abdullah. Having to go against those guys. Having to go against those guys, especially early in my career, because Coach Holt threw me in the fire, man. Having to go against those guys early in my career, you know, just it made me have to play harder, learn my technique, and
you got to know when to punch with those guys. I mean, with the length that they play with, they're getting to you a lot of times before you can get to them.
Exactly, and they're fucking strong.
They're
strong as shit.
Well, and in there, I mean, you have Ashton, you have Mason Reiger, you have guys left and right, and you know,
and you're not allowed to cut block in practice,
especially those guys. Especially those guys. Jesus.
So, and tell you what, just in practice in general, was there any one person in general who you just saw in practice, you're like, oh shit, that guy's got a future in this game?
Which year you want me to talk about? Just, I'll say last year. I'm just going to speak on the defense side of the ball because obviously the guys on offense we know.
Right.
But Ashton Gelati plays with a high motor at all times. Super strong, super athletic, super flexible. I think he's going to play a long time in the league.
I mean, he's got a chance to win a Super Bowl in year one and impact winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the spot you just stay and do your job and chill. And whenever Pat retires, it's whenever you dip it out there.
That time you're ready to get
and he's rotating with Karloftis, so it's not like he's ever going to be eating a ton of matchups. Like, that's a great spot.
Exactly.
So let's talk Stanford because that game.
Bring the vibe down.
I know. I'm sorry.
He's been wanting to bring it down.
That game is just so interesting to me because it's it's 2024's Pittsburgh from 2023. It's the game where you should have won it. It made no sense that you lose. Talk me through that game. Did you see anything on the sideline in the third quarter that signaled a demeanor switch in your team to just like kind of take the foot off the gas? What happened in that? Because it was, it wasn't by means a dominant performance up until that point, but you guys had set the tone, should have been a win. And then it's just like,
we're up most of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, especially the three and outs late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, they definitely killed our energy on the team. Whether it was the defense like being pissed they had to go back on the field because we just went 3 and out, or the offense mad we can't convert a first down. So just
never good vibes.
I can imagine, I work in the corporate space. There's not an exchange like the offense and defense switching fields and that. But I can imagine every once in a while the defense being like, "What the fuck, man?
Sales spots
one first down, one first down."
Same with the defense.
Yeah.
Give me one stop, man. Give me one. Give me one.
Sales botched the implementation. Now account management's got it. Bullshit.
Y'all laugh. Y'all act like that's not me every day in the corporate world.
There's a reason I use that example.
That's great. But I mean, obviously that kind of, I'm sure, what was the next couple of weeks like watching SMU and Clemson go and make the college football, or, be on the verge of making the college football playoff? And, it's like, if we don't lose that game, we're right there. Like, there's a good chance we could at least be a late seed, or at least be in the contention.
Yeah, dude. I mean, watching Clemson and SU, especially playing the ACC championship, knowing what we did to Clemson, knowing what we should have did to SMU, it was tough, man. Just we were one game away from potentially doing something that Louisville's never done.
Right.
So it was really tough. Now I can say that for the entire team. Like, we didn't take that lightly. That's why we went out and did what we did in the bowl game.
Yeah, well, and I mean, obviously, what was Kentucky the next week after Stanford, or a couple weeks after? So I mean, you see it kind of start to the aggression kind of come back. But that game, it was just comparative to where the team was the year prior, where you kind of finish strong and go to the ACC championship. That Stanford game.
Do you think you guys were at that point were playing for the UK game? Obviously, let's go into the UK. We don't know how many games before.
I think it was after you.
Yeah, it might have been
Stanford. Because Stanford ended up being the track game.
Nobody had no football player had beat Kentucky since I was on the field as a player in 2017.
And the next week, Stanford lost to San Jose State. It's a rough go losing to that Stanford team. Is not Stanford of Andrew Luck and Christian McCaffrey, right? They had some guys on their team, obviously.
I won't diss Stanford too much. They had 2 or 3 guys on offense, and they had one stud.
At one point, is that Lamar Jackson at quarterback? Who is that guy out there?
Talk to me the comparisons of prepping UK week set and somebody like the Brohms, who have been there, done that with UK, beat them. It's a good question. Been in that.
Yeah, I'll say I don't want to say that the intensity wasn't there with the SAT offense.
Right. I didn't think it was. I was there myself. Like, I don't think it was that different intensity being there with Coach Petrino, but
there was clearly something.
I just think there overall the game plan was just better with the Brohm staff. Like, obviously we put up fucking 41 points, right?
Going.
And just the game plan was better off. I mean, people I always see the jokes like, oh, 3rd and 20, here comes the outside zone.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, stuff like that. Like,
and you're like, I'm licking my chops. What are y'all laughing about?
I mean, just the fact of the game plan, that was one of the major factors. And both staffs wanted to fucking beat UK. It's not like Sat was just like, oh, it's another game. Like, it meant something to them.
And when it started clicking, because obviously I remember Florida State 2016, whenever we knew like probably 3 possessions into the game, we're like, oh, they're not doing shit offensively. We're doing everything offensively. Once you hit that moment of the game, what'd that feel like?
We know it's over. We know it's wraps. Like, after that, if the defense just keep getting their stops, like, the score is going to be insane.
Yeah.
More empty stadium, 2020 COVID year, or about after the 5-minute mark of the third quarter against Kentucky.
It might have been worse at Clemson. Oh my God. Clemson might have been worse.
You mean they didn't stay to meet at the Paw?
Bro, I was a diehard Clemson fan before I came here, and I have never seen Memorial Stadium that empty.
That's insane.
I've never seen
y'all threw their waters on the field and then bailed.
It was insane.
Y'all punked them. Like, what was that like?
You got the Isaac Night. I mean, it was an iconic game for Louisville, right?
Yeah, and knowing that Clemson had some crazy winning streak of never losing a night game at home, and doing that to them at home, it just felt I can't even.
But they had to ride in that stupid bus, run down that hill to get smacked by the little.
Yeah,
I look at that hill and I wonder how that doesn't get more ACLs and Achilles on the way down. They're running full speed down it. Anyways, besides the point.
Dabo will hurt himself.
Yeah, well, amen.
One day that corp will happen.
Who would have thought college football players can be bipeds?
Yeah.
For you, you had a lot of moments in the season. You had the touchdown, you had the fake punt, you had the fourth down reception against Washington, right? Wasn't that the 4th and 8, 4th and 7 or whatever it was? Was there a favorite moment for you? I know Isaac Martin, friend of the show, we've joked for all the time that James Madison touchdown, that made his career. You got the one chance, one touchdown, but for you, you had a lot of opportunities this year. All of them were equally surprising. I'm not going to lie.
You scored more than Ozzie, though, right?
No.
I could have scored my freshman year, but
so Ian still has.
This is a side
Ian will never let
This
that
was
go
a big
either.
debate between the three of those guys.
This is a side story. Fucking freshman year, we're playing Syracuse, and I was able to play a lot that game, and we were running. The one play that Marshall used to run every fucking time and score the
the
Y flat,
Yeah.
And before I went on the field, Stu grabbed me. I was like, "If you fucking reach the ball out, you're not playing again." You're not playing again. So I was in the 1 yard line. I was like, I could just reach the ball and score.
No.
Too scared to do it. Never do that. This past season, if we would have beat Miami, the fake punt definitely would have been my number one.
Well, and also the torn quad on that.
That's tough.
But no, I'll say the touchdown, not just because of being able to score my first touchdown, but my best friend, Austin Collins, we have a sick ass picture of him holding me up.
Yeah,
after I scored a touchdown, I'm just gonna remember that for the rest of my life. So I'll say that's my number one moment.
We need to. I'm sure it's what you're getting ready to get to. Maybe no, I don't know. But we need to have a conversation with your friend Austin here. We will save that for another time because we can't wait to get back. But our hearts are broken.
I mean, Keith and I were talking to him that like Wednesday, 3 days, and he's like, "Yeah, good, okay, good."
So touchdown, touchdown's going to be the favorite moment. You have a favorite block where you just blew someone the fuck up and just
favorite block. I'll say the SMU game, and it wasn't just one of them; it was multiple. Number 20, it was either 23 or 24. One of the linebackers. I was fucking him up the whole game. I'm a quiet guy until I get some drinks in me, but I don't talk shit on the field unless I
really get somebody good.
Yeah, but he was chirping at me the entire game. He was calling me by my name, and I was like, all right, bet. I was just fucking him up, and I was just talking shit. Those blocks were my favorite blocks in my entire
Congrats, I did my scouting report too.
That's incredible. Hell. Let's talk that bowl game because we were talking a little bit about that before. That game, obviously not the bowl you wanted to be in El Paso, which it sounds, like El Paso is a fun town. So you get your credit.
Who would have known that?
I told you all. El Paso.
Keith has been El Paso's biggest fan. He's the mayor of El Paso over here.
Yeah.
But you guys go down there and, it feels a little bit different. Obviously for you, you had the Air Force game early in your career. You had the Cincinnati Bowl game. You had, I think there might've been one more in there. Maybe I'm missing.
USC, Southern Cal.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously with Miller Moss, which we can talk about him in a minute. But tell me about that game because it was a fun game. Obviously it ends on a big play with Antonio Watts, who's like one of my favorites. But what do you think about that game?
Yeah, that game, dude, going into that, the prep all the way up into that game, we knew we were the better team. We knew we were going to go out there and win. But just going through that game, it was just, we're going to dominate every play. Yeah. And it was exciting to go out on a win for sure and be able to have some big plays in that game.
Did you notice the physicality difference between the Pac-12 and ACC?
I don't know why. Their linebackers play like Big Ten linebackers. No, seriously. Mark Redmond, he was, I think, the starting linebacker last year was his roommate when he was at Washington.
Yeah.
That kid, he thought me up.
That's not the answer I was expecting.
No,
it really broke my heart.
Yeah. I mean, everyone else.
That's fair.
I was going to say, take 10 seconds. You got ISO camp. Just slander West Coast football just for Vince.
Fuck West Coast football.
He's been the hated for forever, man. Yeah, that's been a long-standing thing with Vince.
Now let's talk about our new quarterback, Miller Moss.
Yeah, let's talk about what. Obviously, you all played them, and he had a field day. But what do you think Louisville's gotten him?
I can't speak too much on how he's going to perform here, but I know the 2023 bowl game, he was fucking legit. Going into that game, like the day before, 2 days before, they announced Caleb Williams wasn't going to be playing.
Right,
like,
right.
Perfect.
Yeah, we thought the same thing playing LSU and said they threw out Darius Geis instead of winning for next.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. A little bit of a great, secondary press for you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Miller Moss, he did a great job in that game, and I pray he does the same, have the same performance throughout the season next year.
Right. So you said you may not, you can't really speak to how he transitions, but you can speak to what you saw with Malik, with what you saw with Jack Plummer, and then what you saw with Tyler Shuck. What does it take, really, obviously with Shuck and Plummer, what does it take for a quarterback to be successful in this system? Like, what's the recipe?
I would say not only your natural gifted abilities and your hard work, but knowing your play, knowing your guys. Like Tyler always hung out with the offensive linemen, tight ends, me, receivers, running backs. Like he knew everybody, so he knew how they would react and respond to different situations. So that was just a way for him to put those guys in better positions on the field.
I mean, you saw that, come to fruition with just the chemistry with whether it be really Jacory, I think is the big one. You saw that. But even with, Chris Bell coming on late in the season, talking a little bit about next year, let's do this offense and then defense. Give me one name from each side of the ball that you're excited about.
One side that's not already.
No, just give me anybody. It can be,
I'm excited for Chris Bell.
Okay. I was going to use him as an example.
Chris Bell deserves to be the number one guy. Like, I've never seen it. And his energy is the same way Ashton puts his energy towards the field. Like Chris Bell is one of the hardest workers I see. He's never complaining, always doing in the right place, making the right decisions. Chris Bell on offense is one of my favorite guys to watch play this year.
He seems like a kid at heart. Like he just seems like he's always trying to messing with people.
He's always dancing.
He's the guy that you guys on your shirt.
He
was one of those.
If you sit in the Gordon's Academics, if you hear a little, that's him coming through the building. He's always doing that.
You're giving Vince flashbacks. You said
we were
academic center. We were just there last week, and he was in a bad place.
We did a L Club event there, and I went up, and first person I see is Miss Caroline, and I'm like, she's like, "Oh, you
came back."
Yeah, she's like, "Your report's over here. Start your study." Oh, I'm like, "No, I don't need that today."
Defense.
I want to see Adejan.
Yeah.
Blocking him was fucking hell. Yeah. That kid's arms.
He's like that 2K creative player, right?
I'm excited. I want to see him step up a lot this year and play a lot more this year. That's one kid I'm ready to see play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of young guys. It seems like there's a lot of guys that stuck around. Young guys. Is there any other young names you can just throw out there, guys we didn't see a lot of, maybe that you saw? Like, you're gonna, if you say Trent Carter, you're gonna get this guy, Dylan Messman. You're gonna get this guy jumped up off the couch. This is Dylan Messman's fan club over here.
Yeah, I would like to see guys like Dylan, Chris Hughes. I want my boy Hammy get in at fullback. Jackson Panamero might be your starting fullback next year.
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Is that your next starting?
Yeah. He might be your next fullback next year.
That's gonna hurt.
I want to see fullbacks used to come from Trinity, but I guess we're just not tough guys anymore. It's rough out here.
Soft, those kids.
I'm ready to see all those guys because even though they weren't playing on Saturdays, they're always showing up to the facility on time. They're there early. They're there watching film. They're there putting in hard work, doing conditioning. So I'm ready to see those guys step up and make a lot of plays this year.
Well, I mean, from Isaac to yourself, there's been a ton of other guys that have played that fullback, H-back spot. It's a selfless spot. It's not a star. It's somebody typically that's come through the ranks and worked their way up. I want to just talk a little bit about that position. I was asking some friends for some questions today, and somebody gave me something I thought was super thoughtful. The fullback position, we joke a lot with Vince, is this probably the most outside of the offensive line, or maybe the sixth offensive lineman, the most selfless guy on the team. You're likely rarely ever going to touch the ball. Your job is to literally just hit somebody.
Unless you're Duane.
Yeah, unless you're Duane, right? Isaac, sorry, man. You only got your one chance. I heard you had brick hands. That's not the case with Duane.
Yeah. But, why are you laughing? You're knowing true.
But, there's got to be a certain mentality with a fullback, a guy who just knows his role. How hard was it for you? Like, was there moments throughout your career where you're just like, man, like, I don't even get to score. Like, I got to keep going every day. Like, what's that? Is the challenges and the rewards of being a fullback?
Yeah. So, like, when you're saying do I even, like, why do I want to play this position? I don't get the rewards. Like, I've been asked multiple times this question, like, why play this position? It's a dying position. Like, nobody's trying to make it to the league.
They just take defensive linemen in the NFL now,
exactly.
right?
So, but, I personally took it as I'm going to take pride in my work, I know the people that actually matter on this team and in this organization know that what I'm doing is very beneficial to the team's success.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. I never been a person that's been always about the, oh, he did this, he did that, blah, blah, this and that. Don't get me wrong, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I personally take pride in the people that actually matter on that team and that organization know that I'm doing something that's beneficial. That's all that matters to me.
Man, that's deep. Right?
So you're kind of undercutting me. So you don't want to take a second. I know we already threw Jaws and Isaac asking for a little something. You don't want to preemptively throw that ask.
If you want to give me something,
not just Correndo, Brown, Duke. Like, hey,
their days are coming.
What do you think? What do you think? Like Jacob talking the position. What do you think makes up a good fullback? You know, it seemed like you had the perfect mixture of Marshawn and Isaac. You had the hands. You couldn't run routes as good as Marshawn, but you could still run some routes and get out there and catch passes. To whereas Isaac was definitely there's a brick wall, go through it. That's how I was too. But like you had the good mix. So what do you think really makes a good fullback?
I think what makes a good fullback is, I mean, you don't honestly don't even have to be the strongest to be a good fullback. Look at Kyle Juszczyk. He's not always the strongest on the plays. Like as long as you know your alignment, your assignment, you're the hammer and not the nail, you're a good fullback in my idea.
How many times were you the nail in practice?
Never
once.
One time I almost became the nail against CJ Avery my freshman year. When he was beefed up that year, he almost got me, but I was never the nail.
Attaboy.
I was going to say no instance. I was going to say, ask you about your favorite block.
Yeah.
Anytime where you like go to the staff, like, hey, delete that off the tape real quick, please.
Don't show that on the Sunday tape.
I'll never see the light of day.
I was always the times where I came up on the tape. I was always the hell moment.
That's right. There you go.
Such a good place to be.
Whenever he was young, it'd be look at the effort this freshman's showing on special teams. Why can't the starters do it? Yeah, it was that kid.
All right, my last question, and I know I've asked this in a variety of ways, but I'm just going to ask it point blank. Is there a running back that's been your favorite to block for?
I would say my favorite, just especially see now where he's at, is Isaac Grindale. Because, you know, like you were mentioning early in the season of 2023, the very first game, we were roommates at the hotel, and we were just talking and, you know, just hearing his story about his time at Wisconsin and how he basically essentially got pushed out the door.
Yeah.
And came here expecting to have his moment and having to be the shadow of Jaws early in the season. And once Jaws goes down, him stepping up and doing what he
dominating,
does,
man.
And just seeing him now at the next level, still doing those things, it's definitely something to think about. And I'm really happy to being able to block for him.
Yeah, he'll be on my fantasy team this year. That's for sure.
Shadow of Jaws, by the way, that's just an elite movie title.
Right.
Throw a trademark on that bad boy.
Was there a running back? Now, I don't mean this in a negative way. Was there a running back that you go to set the hole for and they run the other way? Like, was there ever a running back that you're just like, fuck, follow me, dude? Like, damn. And J.B. Hawkins feels like a guy who would just go the opposite way every time.
He would do that, but he would fucking take it.
Well, yeah, right.
So it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was really, all the guys, like, we spent time going over and over how to read the blocks, how to make your cuts and all that. So it was really never a time in game where they didn't read the holes correctly. Hell, Jaws fit him perfectly every fucking time. I loved when he did it, but
yeah, I mean, his feet, we were watching earlier, it looks like, I mean, it's like a movie. They just move. You can't even see them at that point. They're moving so quick.
All right, so a little bit off topic. Favorite ass chewing you've ever seen in a practice? It could be you getting your ass chewed in retrospect, or someone else you just watching it and be like, "Oh God!"
I don't know if I should be saying this, but when Colin
we can edit it out.
There you go. When Colin Lacey broke his collarbone in fall camp.
Did you do it?
Oh hell no.
Okay.
Was that was he laying out for it?
No, he
because usually that's how a receiver does it. So lay out for that.
We were doing a scrimmage. It was a Saturday scrimmage.
Yep.
And we were in a non-tackling period, and one of the defensive guys, they were hitting the whole practice, like just going balls to walls.
Of course they were.
Were you on pads?
We're full pass, full tilt, but they were like periods, like live, non-live. And one guy came in from the side and like drove him to the ground hard as hell. And Brohm lost his shit. It wasn't like a quick 15-second lose your shit. It was like a 2.5 minute. He was like, you know what, fuck it. Offense hit on the line. Like, he made us run for this.
Yeah. But he's just pissed and he doesn't even know why.
He was crashing down. And You guys hit him in the line. I was like, dude, fuck, like, it's 95 degrees out here. And we're full size.
Are you thankful? All right, well, life after football, what are we talking right now? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so life after football right now, I'm just grinding and working right now, trying to find out the next thing. I'm still enrolled in Louisville for my Master's in Business Administration.
Okay, good. Yeah, finish that.
And me and my girlfriend are still living here. She's not wanting to move back to South Carolina. Trying to get her to move to Washington because I love the state of Washington. But
State,
so
I assume.
dude, yeah.
Are you thankful that you
Great
don't?
state.
Yeah.
Are you thankful you don't have to do inside run anymore? Like that for me,
See, dude, no.
You're crazy.
That was a period I know I'm getting 7-8 reps nonstop.
Yeah, it's 7-8 reps up.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
Straight.
You were
helmet to
built
helmet.
for O-line life, Vince, man.
He said, I'm going to pull back through and through.
That's every period. It's just
fullback.
Do the two ways.
I love those periods. I will say the only thing I do not miss is being outside right now running 300.
Oh, I bet that's terrible.
It's the best.
It's a good
Sit
sweat.
back,
You're going to end
just-
up looking like Vince's armpits right now if you,
Notice I didn't have this red shirt on when you walked in.
Man, well, thank you for your time. I will say, obviously, we communicated a lot during the season because there's a vested interest of our show and a guy like you and the way that you play. I think our show has always been
Score
in
more
the
touchdowns. We
details
probably
of-
could have did some t-shirts. With
Yeah, you could. I mean, we tried. I will say he is a selfless dude. I tried so hard to pitch him on this idea of like really going for the Lowman Trophy and like a website. merch. He was like, man, I just got to focus on the next game. Like, I give him his
with
credit.
the Lowman Trophy and oh my God,
We tried, man. We tried. We carried your crusade.
Ramon not getting the walk on.
Yeah, it's a disappointment. Man.
Bullsworth.
We got to do better this year.
Yeah, Burlsworth.
We got to do better as a show to lift these guys up and get them a
Y'all did
trophy.
great job.
We tried.
I was super extremely happy and thankful that you guys reached out when y'all did because, like you were mentioning earlier, like it's not. My position isn't the position that's going to get mentioned all the time in the books, but
it's the shit that we spend 15 minutes and people are like, can you just talk about the quarterbacks more? And I'm like, no, this is what we
If you go
learn
back
on
and
this
watch
show.
any of the clips from this past season,
especially
you
in
will see a bunch of my fat head talking about
the block on this run right here sets it up. It sets the tone like it was all the time. So thank you for joining us. This has been a long time in the making. Hopefully we'll get you around. We're going to be doing watch parties in this studio. Getting ready for the off season. Or getting
always
ready for
welcome in the
season.
green light. I'll be there all fall.
And I would say, here's why I've told this to a couple of different athletes. I haven't gotten the chance yet. Allen Houston was the one last year. Before that, I forget who it was, but I want to buy your first beer at Cardinal Stadium. Okay. That is a special right for me because that beer has drugs in it, I'm pretty sure. It is the best beer that you will have. Yeah. And for you, you've not gotten to experience that, you know. So your first beer against, who is it? Austin? Who's it? EKU this year?
EKU's the opener.
First beer's on me. Beer's going to go down really easy. Shotgun that beer.
I left in the third.
I don't know. It could be. You know, we saw that guy from Kentucky at the concession stand during the game last year.
So have you gotten a chat with Big Dog? Have you talked to Vince Morrow at all?
I haven't. I haven't been to the stadium since pro day. Really,
it's kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah, when I was talking to my girlfriend. Hey, like right about now, I'm getting ready to like hate my life for the next 2 hours.
You're counting the day, hours, minutes.
Now I'm just at home. I get to watch fucking TV and drink a beer whenever I want to.
Whenever. You don't have to worry about it, man. That's welcome to the good life. We put down 3 each here on the show. That's what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Pink Seats podcast, subscribe to the show if you haven't. Anywhere you get your shows from audio, podcast, Spotify, Apple, State of Louisville on YouTube right here below is where you can find that. A ton more great content. Duane, thank you, sir. It's been great to have you. And we will catch you this weekend. We will be out at the Josh Meekins Skills and Drills Camp for the second time. We've got a lot of great content. My man Keith has got his combine drills as punishment coming.
I will be at Robbie Bell's wedding. Robbie Bell's getting married.
Out with the Sacramento State staff. We'll see if we can't get Vince a coaching job, maybe.
Get the Hornets in the Pac-12.
You act like I leave J-Town. Like, this is a long drive for me from J-Town.
You're driving?
No, I'm saying from J-Town to the studio is a long drive.
Anyways, we will catch you all. We're back next week. A lot of recruiting stuff going on from the Pink Seats podcast. Go Cards.